Building myself up a renovation. And this a ode to my enemies.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to episode 2 of The Hard Truth with myself, Artem.
Esther, aka Mommy RN88.
And Vadim here.
That's
Hey.
our producer, guys. That's our producer. It's the guy that's connecting us, sound, video, everything.
He's the one that makes the magic happen.
So
That's
listen,
right.
man, let's get right. Let's dive into this, right? A lot of things happening, Esther. What's going on over here?
Lots of things to cover today. Obviously, the biggest hot topic right now is Afghanistan. So before we get into it, I want to address that there's a lot of information out there. Some people are really confused because a lot of people are like, wait, but isn't this good? We kind of left. What's going on? Why the panic? So in order to understand this better, I'd like you to take us into why we even went into Afghanistan in the first place. So a nice, a shorter version, obviously, but with our lingo. So go ahead
Sure.
and tell us how we got into Afghanistan in the first place in 2001.
So I think it started, 9/11 essentially happened. Just to give you like a quick gist, the main points here, right? 9/11 happens, automatically they say, Al-Qaeda, terrorist organization, known, well-funded. Osama bin Laden came into schools in America, studied here. Half these people were trained by the CIA years back when the Taliban and or Al-Qaeda were fighting against the Russians. So there was some kind of connection there to begin with. Blamed Al-Qaeda, said we have to go into Afghanistan and basically extract Osama bin Laden, a couple of other leaders of the terrorist organization. 20 years later, we fucking basically realized the guy's living in Pakistan, chilling under surveillance of the Pakistani security forces. We went and completely destroyed Afghanistan for no reason at all. The founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, warned us about this back in 2010, 2011, stating that the real reason that America went into Afghanistan is not for the reasons that they told us. And usually the reasons that they tell us is we're going there to free the people of Afghanistan. We're going to free the women from being sex slaves or...
Free the women from oppression.
Yeah, oppression, teenage marriages, women being stoned, etc. All these Sharia law type of radical beliefs, if you will. And America is the big savior. We're going to come in. We're going to go in there very quickly, very simply. We're going to take out the terrorist organizations, right? We're going to build a government, essentially. And we're going to come out and everything's going to be fine. What happened? 20 years in, $1 trillion later, 4,440 soldiers died. Those are young, old, somebody's mother, brother, father, son, human life, essentially, amongst many other contractors that were assigned, translators, medical staff, other contractors that were doing weaponry, etc., and stuff like that have died and paid a price. All for what it seems to be like profit was the major cause here, right?
Well, not only that, everything completely reversed with no exit strategy. You understand? Any president can come into office and say, yeah, I'm going to get them out. And there have been presidents that came in, obviously, after George Bush that said, listen, under my administration, we're going to try to do A, B, and C. It's obviously not so simple to just go in, remove your troops, as what we've all seen. It's almost like an example for the history books. This is why you can't just go there, take all your troops, and run away. Now, we were there for this long. What did Bush come out and say when we essentially found nothing? There were no weapons of mass destruction found, right?
Yeah. That was in Iraq. So the second part of this was after Afghanistan, they moved on to Iraq, which made absolutely no sense.
But they said it was because of...
So they sold Congress and the American public by stating that there are nuclear weapons, also known as WMDs, that Saddam Hussein was purchasing, making illegally, otherwise, either through, like Russia, North Korea. They're all kind of friends in that area. And then when we toppled that regime, it came very apparent that it was all based on lies, speculation. Dick Cheney, who was a vice president at that time, used to be the CEO of Halliburton, reconstructive company, gas companies, right? So all these people got contracts first, which is kind of shady.
Shady. It's shady.
They made billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars on the backs of our taxpayer money.
And off the blood of our soldiers.
$1 trillion each war, by the way.
Each war.
The total cost of the war was about $2 trillion estimated. That's what's on the books, because a lot of black, undercover co-op stuff that happens through the CIA, through the NSA, these organizations that they just funnel money out of the system that we're never going to see about, right? But $2 trillion. Do you know what think about this. During the pandemic, they printed about 3.3 trillion and they sustained somewhat to an extent a lot of the people who had no money, no work for one whole year, right? Versus us going into a war after 20 years trying to accomplish something and then pulling out, and 1 week later the whole thing fucking tumbles. Like, it's just a house of cards essentially at this point.
Well, what's crazy is the response on all this is really, really bothering me. I hear radio silence from the people that initially supported this. There's some people that are just legit coming out and saying like, no, but we needed to come out because this is not our war. We were essentially there trying to create this government. It was the fighters that gave up. Their own government kind of ran away, rightfully so, because the terrorists.
You mean the Afghan government?
Yeah.
So let me tell you, I don't know if you know this.
What?
I don't think a lot of people know this, but if you do, if you don't, let me tell you about the Afghan army. There is no Afghan army. Okay, people don't understand this. We spent a lot of money going into Afghanistan. Their army is paid for hire, which means you come in, you pay them to fight, they'll go fight. As soon as the America left last week, when Americans left and the money stopped, they're not fucking fighting.
I didn't know that they're
A lot of
paid
people
to
don't
hire.
know that. This is why it toppled, because there was no army. The people there don't fight for their country.
And we left them all our goods, right? We left them military equipment. We left drones. We left
Technology. We left a lot of technology.
And these are our taxpayer dollars. Now, how can something that messy happen? When you put in 20 years, how can something like that even happen? How is that? Do you see? Everyone saw the images of these people trying to grab onto that cargo plane. How the hell does something like that happen? 20 years. These are. I mean, I honestly, I don't like to make things like this personal, but this shit's bothered me ever since it hit the news. Every single day I think about it. Like, how the fuck did this happen?
And, this is why, unfortunately, a lot of people around the world hate America.
Absolutely.
Right. And
I was just
unfortunately,
gonna say, we come off as the bully. We come off as not minding our own business.
Right. Not only that, we start shit. We go in there, we fuck shit up. We pretend we're going to fix it. We leave it worse than when we came in. And then we say, well, we're the heroes. Can you imagine being in Afghanistan? You speak English. You speak, what do they speak there? Farsi? Pashto. So imagine you're essentially an interpreter contracted by the American government for 20 years because there's no other work there. They're paying you well. Everything's good.
And now you're a traitor.
Now you're a traitor.
Now
20 years later,
Taliban's gonna
America
fucking kill
pulls
you.
out and tells you, go figure it out. You'll be good.
Can you
Ahmed.
imagine
You'll be good.
what other countries are viewing us as right now? Just that scenario alone. Who's going to ever trust the American government again? Can you imagine all those translators and their families are right now at the will of the Taliban who promised to behave. And Biden takes his word for it. They said, the Taliban said they would treat the women well. That's exactly his words, and I'm quoting. And let's get into what Sharia law is for the people that maybe don't know. So the Taliban came out, and I'm going to read some of it here. So the Taliban came out, and they proclaim that they're going to be respectful to women as long as they abide by Sharia law. And Sharia law. So a woman is her husband's possession, right? I'm just going to give a few examples. I'm not going to get really into it. Under Sharia law, a woman is considered her husband's possession. If she is raped, let's say, if she's ever raped and she goes and tells somebody that she was raped, 4 men have to proclaim that they witnessed it. Otherwise, it did not happen, and she is stoned to death. She can actually be stoned to death by the rapist himself, okay?
Unbelievable.
The amount of oppression that these people face and the amount of leaps and bounds and changes that women have gone through in Afghanistan throughout the years literally got erased in 20 years. The Taliban is, how are we even negotiating with them? This is Biden basically like, okay, I'm going to take their word for it. They said they said they're going to help take the rest of our people out. This is the way it is. We have to do what we have to do. So not only did we leave in a very, very messy way, we absolutely betrayed the translators and their families who fucking risked their lives. They all risked their lives to help America. And they have been left with nothing. They are basically at the will and mercy of the Taliban, who are committed to the destruction of Western civilization. They are very similar to Al-Qaeda, obviously. They all kind of have the same agenda, right? So who else has the same agenda as Taliban? Hamas, ISIS, right? We all heard their names. We all heard of them. When Hamas fires rockets into a Western democracy, just like America, aka Israel, you hear this crazy outrage. You see it all over. You see it all over. This is not even about like my side, your side. You see it all over. Free Palestine. What is this? What is Israel doing? You see fucking the Hadids, right? Bella Hadid came out.
I call them the Hooker sisters.
The Hooker sisters, whatever. It's the hypocrisy for me. I actually want to name this episode Hypocrites. Okay? Where is the outrage? I haven't seen one verified person saying anything about Trump. The only people that turned on sorry, I said Trump. The only people that turned on Biden like this is CNN, which I find hysterical. They're the only ones right now that are gunning for him, like, oh, how can he do this? How can he say that? Which I find honestly hysterical. That you can buy them so easily, it's crazy. But
yeah,
why are we condemning Israel? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Why are we condemning Israel when they say they want to protect themselves? This is also an organization committed to the destruction of Western civilization. This is also an organization that upholds Sharia law. So why is it different? Why is it different? Does anyone have do you have an answer?
Well, I can only suspect. I mean, like you said, right?
Because people get emotional and they're getting paid.
Models,
influencers,
Hadid Hooker sisters, mainstream media, CEO Corps, Ben and fucking Jerry's, right? All these people are coming out during the time of when it's against Jewish lives, right? Nobody cares. And they're all for, oh my God, we need to protect
free Palestine, free the people, free the Muslim people.
We
Look
need
at
to
what's happening. There's innocent children. There's innocent civilians. What's going on in Afghanistan, though? Where are all the blue checkmark people?
Well, they don't care
Where's
about
the outrage? Why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Those are different Muslims. We don't care about. What about the Uyghurs?
No, it's about anti-Semitism, and that's my point.
Well, yeah.
It's more about you're against Israel. And this is the world we live in right now. The world goes all the way around. Everything is personal and everything is emotional. The mainstream media successfully, they really succeeded in what they've done. Turning people completely loony and emotional against other candidates, against other parties. And at the end of the day, it really impacts stuff like this. Look at how people are looking at this situation completely differently. And a couple of months ago, it was outrage and outcry. Look at what's happening in Gaza. This is a far worse problem in Afghanistan right now, and far more people. And I even posted about it on our page. Benghazi, that shit cost Clinton the election. I don't care what anybody says. She was honestly leading until that shit came out, until Assange came out. Everything exploded for her when Benghazi came out. That was 4 U.S. military soldiers. 4. You're trying to tell me that this isn't 10,000 times worse?
Yeah, so let's go back here for a second. I want to read you something from the Public Citizen. It's a source. They basically came out and said, this is the reason why America really went into war into Afghanistan. It was nothing about getting the freedoms for the people. It wasn't about to change or bring democracy,
so
right?
What is it really for?
So this goes along the lines with what the WikiLeaks Julian Assange said earlier. Quote, they're stating that entrenching U.S. forces in Afghanistan was the military-industrial complex's business plan for 20 plus years. Hawks and defense contractors co-opted the needs of the Afghan people in order to line their own pockets, right? Now, if you look at a timeline of the major industrial complex industries that run America, Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed and Martin, right? Within the last 20 years, all of their stock prices bloated anywhere between 1,000%, 100% to 1,000%. Within 20 years. Why? Because why would you have a company making bombs and explosives and stuff like that when there's no war? So they say, how can we make more money? Well, we got to go to war. Our recurring defense minister, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can check me on that there, used to be the CEO of Lockheed and Martin. The guy that used to make bombs is now the guy that says if we should go to war or not. Isn't that a conflict of interest? It's like we have the bankers, right? For some
reason, the rules don't apply to them.
Yeah, we have ex-CEOs. And if you look down the list of the last maybe 5 to 7 treasuries that run the United States, they were all ex-bankers of big banks. Mostly Goldman Sachs. It was the number one. They kind of like pick them off the tree. Like, oh, you ran a bunch of businesses and banks and
you had a couple of hedge funds. Come on
up to the government side. Let's see if we can fuck the people more. Right. So this is why really America went into Afghanistan, and the only people that paid are the American lives that went to fight the war and the contractors, etc., and all the other areas, plus the Afghan people who sat there and they believed in us. They thought we were going to come there.
They thought we were going to
fuck these guys up. We're going to start a new life. We didn't do that.
But it's not over. So the pullout already happened, right? We pulled out. There are still like thousands of families and with their translators there. There's still U.S. citizens there, passport holders there, etc. There are going to be 9,000 people per day, and correct me if I'm wrong. I saw that recently, coming into some of our military bases in Texas, Wisconsin. There's a couple, if not like 3 or 4 already. 9,000 people like per day. Who's to say what the vetting?
There's no vetting.
There's no vetting. So these people can essentially be coming in COVID positive. They could be infiltrated, like the terrorism can be infiltrated in those groups of people, right? If you're not vetting them, then the Taliban people can be getting a free ticket to America as we speak, posing as refugees. So this is an even bigger problem. I feel like what Biden, what they did, and by the way, they're all hiding, which really, really pisses me off.
Where's Kamala Harris?
Where's Kamala Harris? Where are you? Where are you? I don't understand. And Jen motherfucking Psaki, you're on vacation too. I think how is this bitch still circling back? How does she still have a job? I don't understand what this administration is doing to our country, and it's pissing me off. It's almost like it's deliberate.
So now there was another argument that people are kind of debating here, right? Is it great that we're out of Afghanistan?
That's what I'm saying.
It's not our problem. We created the problem.
So I genuinely feel like, we can really take a step back from this and look at it from an unbiased perspective, right? The problem was created by us. We weren't, regardless of what happened with 9/11. Yes, 9/11 happened, but that was Al-Qaeda, okay? Us going into Afghanistan to try to get them. 9/11 was the excuse to get us in there is basically what we are saying, correct? But we still went in there. We still fucked shit up for them. Okay. But now that this is all said and done, now what? We went in. Is it now our problem? Is it really our responsibility? A part of me genuinely feels like it is. The way we handled the fucking exit strategy, of course it's now our problem. What are you supposed to do? You made this big mess and now you're going to be out. And then there's the other part of me, the American part, that's kind of like, well, it has to be a vetting process. And we kind of have our own problems over here. We have an open border crisis as we speak on our own soil. We still have an economic crisis going on because of COVID. We should not be sticking our nose into the business of other countries when we can't get our own shit together. So that part of me is really battling with the initial part of me because I think it's important to have these conversations for this reason. There is no black and white here. It's all gray. Would you agree with that? There's a lot of different sides that you can see it from here. So what's your outtake on this? We did the wrong thing. We went in, but the time has passed. The damage was done.
I think...
What now?
I think people are starting to really wake up more and more to the facts of what's exactly happening.
Well, they're starting to wake up to the incompetence of the administration. I don't think people are awake to what's really happening. I don't think people know like what we just discussed, like the reasons why we went in the first place. I'm hearing an array of different things like, well, he promised to get us out and I respect that he stuck by his word. What? Any president can push a button and drop a bomb and that's it. The problem is over. No, the problem is not over. There's so many consequences in the action, so many consequences are going to go to follow. This is going to take years. Who even knows what's going to happen? The extremists on the other side are just going to get stronger right now. This is the moment that they were waiting for.
By the way, he didn't start the stopping war in Afghanistan. Trump did. He started pulling troops out first. Yes. He left a minimum amount of troops in green zones. In areas where,
but he's going to get all the credit. You know how it is. The whole point is that. But even with Trump, even that he's going to get blamed.
No, I'm just saying. My point is like I don't want to blame just this specific administration. I just think
it's not blame. The way they handle the administration.
I think
they dropped the ball on this one.
What are you talking about? They completely fucked everything up. This was years leading up to this. And all of a sudden it's like, we're going to do this. This undid the last 20 years. Do you understand? No, There's a way to do things.
No. We don't know what the way to things to do. You're not fucking sitting in government.
We're not. You're absolutely right.
So
you're trying to tell me.
But let me explain to you first.
Go ahead.
You
want to fight? You want to take this outside?
I'll knock you out. Listen. What I'm trying to say is this. What I'm trying to say is that I think no matter who was in this administration at this time would have done the same thing.
No, I don't agree at all.
I agree. I think this was a bigger plan.
What's your thought process behind it?
My thought process is like this. I think this has all been laid out, right?
So you're saying this was deliberate?
This was really planned to happen. Okay. It just happened on his watch, right? We were there for 20 years. They extracted everything they could through monetary policies. They squeezed fucking Afghanistan out. They crushed the quote-unquote ISIS, Taliban, Al-Qaeda in that area. They claimed that victory. They started showing you videos of everything is peaceful. Let's get out. That's what they did. They said, you know what? We
It's
realize
the way they got out, Artem.
they don't care. This is what I'm trying to tell you. The government does not care. They don't care. They don't care about the people.
But
Well,
it's one thing to not care about the people, but still, the way the exit strategy was literally like they fucking winged it, Artem. They winged it. That's the point. They winged it.
No, they just never had a plan. No, they didn't.
That's called winging it.
They didn't want to make a plan. That's the difference between wanting to make a plan and then winging it and not having a plan. They never care. They said, you know what? We're gonna drop this shit. We're gonna pack our shit up. We're gonna go fuck up another country. Who's next? Where's the money next? That's their thought process.
I think they dropped the ball. I think they winged it and they didn't expect. Because
I disagree.
Biden came out and said there's no way they're going to gain that strength, and in 2 weeks they did.
Congress and representatives and the president. He alone does not constitute what we do.
Okay,
you understand?
I said the administration.
Listen,
I'm not saying it's just him. It's
listen,
the administration.
No,
guys.
The
Ultimately,
administration is only president's cabinet administration. We're not talking about the Congress, right?
forget the Congress. How about all the intelligence that was carried on? They completely blew the lid off the bottle. They completely lost it because they were thinking that it would take them 31 days by August 31st for them to leave safely. And guess what? Kabul was taken in 3 days?
Again, because they stopped paying the Afghan army to hold
ran
their
away.
post.
They ran away.
And why would I fight when I'm not getting paid by you to fight, and then the guys that are going to take over are going to fucking kill me and my family if I fight for people like you?
That's fine, but America knew that was happening.
That's my
We
Hence
had
why
our
we
own
did it-
citizens
yeah,
there. We have
yeah.
an embassy that we built for $1 billion.
Artem's point is they don't
They
care. They know
don't
all this.
care.
Yeah. Artem's point
They
is they
let
just don't
people
care.
die
They know
in
this.
Benghazi.
Well, then this is on Biden. You should not say that. It's not on Biden.
It's not a Biden issue. It's a American government issue.
I don't know.
No,
It's not a
absolutely
Biden-
not.
Listen, if our president currently is Biden, it's definitely his issue. He should have been more
Exactly.
responsible about it.
Could he
There
have been-
It's their call,
Yes.
Artem. You're wrong.
Could he have been more responsible? Absolutely. But clearly, look.
Clearly, they don't care. We can agree with that.
Because
Absolutely.
nobody's doing
Of course.
anything.
Of course, they don't.
Nobody's doing anything. Could he have done a better job? 100%.
When he was addressed the other night, I don't know if anybody saw this. When he was addressed by this specific question, what did you feel when you saw those people clinging on that airplane? George Stephanopoulos. If anyone didn't see this 60-minute interview with Joe Biden himself, what was Joe Biden's response? I'm gonna do the exact response. You ready?
Oh wait, hold on.
That was what?
What specific part are you talking about? About the airplanes?
Yes.
And people
Yes.
are
That was 4 days ago. That was 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So how? When I saw that, I ripped half my hair out of my head. And
Yeah.
my husband's like, why are you getting so nervous? There's
Yeah.
nothing. He's laughing at me. He's like, do you hear this shit? Would that ever hold up in court? This is the highest sitting president in the fucking United States. And what is he saying? That was 4 days ago, like a little kid.
Well,
when
hold
I
on
tell
a
my
second. He's
kids,
the only president sitting in the United States.
what did I say?
He's the highest president. But he is.
That's perfectly fine. We
He's
understand.
sitting in
what
the
you're
highest form.
saying. But
You
5
guys-
days.
you know what I mean.
That doesn't make any. Yeah, it doesn't. That's not an excuse.
That was 4 days ago. Come on,
Right.
man.
Come
like,
on.
And they left him.
As if
they
we're
let him off the hook
bothering
with
him.
that.
Yeah.
Now
Who's
imagine
they?
if Trump would have him.
Exactly.
George,
Exactly. Why?
the libtard.
Joe?
George.
I can't.
Stephanopoulos. Listen, like I said,
If I'm ever in court, God forbid, for killing somebody, that's the first thing I'm going to say to the judge.
It was 5 years
That
ago.
was 6 weeks ago. Or if I get a parking ticket, speeding ticket, Your Honor. I was speeding like a month ago. You got to drop this. This happened
Exactly.
already. Move on. That's it. It happened.
Nobody died.
That's what I mean. This is what pisses me off. Where is the accountability?
yeah.
And I don't like that. The hypocrisy on both sides, that's what pisses me off. It's a complete shit show. What our country became is a joke, and that is why I'm upset. It is not about blaming this administration, what he could have done. Oh, if it was Israel. Oh, if it was Trump. Honestly, we sound like that sometimes, but what's the main point? What's the main takeaway from all of this?
The main takeaway
We're
is
starting to become
hypocrisy.
fuck-ups. That's what the
Yeah.
main takeaway is.
Yeah.
I am absolutely appalled at how we handled this situation. Yes, you're absolutely right. They don't care. But anyway, we can talk about this for years. Another thing that's going on in the world today, what's going on, Artem? The mandates. You wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Things are getting
Specifically
weird,
in New
man.
York City.
It's getting weird. It's getting weird.
Well, the government is micromanaging your health, so
It's
gonna
getting.
happen.
We have to. I'm calling on people, vaccinated, not vaccinated, with vaccine cards or not. We have to boycott. Unfortunately, the restaurants that force you to show your card like it's some sort of 1939 Nazi Germany like. Or in Russia, they used to tell our parents and our grandparents, show me your papers, where you're from, what city are you in, why are you here, or how much money is in your pocket. How far is this going to go?
Exactly.
How far is
Well, it's
this
going
going
to
to
go very hard, very far.
We need to stop with the bullshit. We all have to agree that this cannot go on any further because they're just adding on things to
Turmoil.
take away.
There's so much turmoil already. There's so much turmoil. So with the New York City mandate, right? The interesting thing about this is that the people that kept businesses alive, the ones that really weren't afraid to go outside, to go to restaurants, are the people that are getting now punished and kind of, alienated from society. The same people that kept these businesses in business. Think about it. The people that are terrified stayed home. They were doing whatever they had to do. They weren't working, collecting unemployment, whatever it was. The people that were out and about, still going to work, whether it was essential workers or, just the people that weren't that deathly afraid of going to maybe, out with their family to a restaurant, despite the fact that these rules were ridiculous. I mean, you sit down, you take off your mask, and now that's it. COVID's gone. I mean, it was ridiculous. But
so based on what you said, basically,
it's
right?
setting a dangerous precedent,
It's
right?
setting a very dangerous precedent. Now, guys, in the comment section, please let me know. I have a lot of coworkers, a lot of friends, a lot of family, a lot of patients who are worried to lose their jobs because they are being forced to get a vaccine that they do not necessarily want.
And it doesn't stop with the vaccine because there's already talk about a booster.
Right. So now the thing here is, how are people supposed to go on with their lives? What if you can't find another job? You've been in the same place for 20 years. What if you're 55 years old and you decide that, you know what, it's not for you, not this time, you're feeling okay, and your employer tells you, well, if you don't do it, you got some of my friends are telling me they've got 2 weeks. They're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I have to figure out a way. So now people are looking for other ways to keep their jobs, essentially, their livelihoods, putting food on the table, right? Now,
And you're going to hear from the mouth of the people that want all this to happen. The superiority complex comes out and it's like, well, find another job. They have that right. They can mandate vaccines. Those mandates have been out before, and they have. We have the mandates in school for certain vaccines, right? This is a different one, though. This is a different situation.
Somebody told me, I'm not sure if this is true. If there's any lawyers in the audience, please let me know or correct me if I'm wrong. But somebody mentioned to me that if you're already working in your workplace prior to the mandates of the vaccines, they're legally not allowed to fire you because you already started working.
I don't think that's accurate. I mean,
I wouldn't think that's accurate either.
Speaking from personal experience, they did all the research before they announced the mandate.
Who knows? Maybe they're lying to you. They don't know. They could be tricking you.
They could be, but they get legal involved. No, these corporations and these huge big companies, they know what lawsuits can arise from this. They have a legal team. They discussed it with them in full detail, and they wrote it out and said, listen, this is the way it's going to be. We have every right to do this. You have every right to decline. You just work somewhere else. It's beautifully loopholed in a way where we kind of have to suffer if you don't want it, right? And
what was that line that you said with the vaccine campaign? Oh, not the vaccine campaign. What was that? That one-liner you said you were telling me about? How they're promoting it?
Oh, well, they're promoting it in a way. They're saying the New York City Excelsior Pass.
Right.
Is
What was the slogan?
the key to banning the unvaccinated.
Is
what
the
the
key
hell
to
is that?
banning the unvaccinated.
Why is de Blasio pushing this, like, punish those people? He's not pushing it at like, oh, get this pass so you can go to the rest. No, they're pushing it like, make sure these people are shunned from society. That is the problem. And it makes you wonder, why are you pushing this so hard? I mean, we're not strangers to respiratory viruses, right?
Yeah, no, we're humans.
I worked in the hospital, and if you couldn't take the flu shot, now I understand there's going to be people attacking about, well, this is a pandemic and this and that, etc. I really don't even want to talk about this anymore. It's just like, I'm getting a migraine even talking about it. What do you think about a national divorce at this point? A lot of people talk about this national divorce.
I'm all for it.
I'm honestly all for it. I don't know why we don't consider it on a more serious note. The country is so divided at this point. I don't think there's going to be a perspective to see it. So I have a proposition, and I'm going to end the show on this note. I have a serious proposition, all right?
Yeah, right.
The people that want to feel free to take the trans movement, the liberal ideology, influence your own children of whatever you want in your schools, indoctrinate them the ever way you want. Have your open borders, have your socialism, your communism, your universal healthcare, have all the refugees from every country come here. It'll be star-spangled awesome for you. We will keep our Second Amendment. We will keep the cops. We will keep our Constitution. We will have a patriotic president. We will be pro-life, and parents will be making medical decisions for their children. This is my proposition. I don't understand why we don't consider it in a more stronger way, because there will be a civil war at this point. If it continues this way with tensions this high, there's going to be a civil war.
And we're going to end on that note. Guys, love your feedback in the comments. Let us know.
Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Any questions, shoot them our way. Either DM us at The Hard Truth or leave a comment on the video below.
Later.
See you next time.
I'm about to show you dedication. Building myself